this presentation is on net metering. So this presentation will kind of go over the topic description and our plan going forward with this project. My name is Mordecai Brownfin. I'm the text editor in Group 4. So that means that I confirm that documents adhere to specific project requirements, so they follow other requirements. They utilize proper format, mechanics, and styling. The reason why I chose this role is because I'm proficient with Microsoft Office Online, and I consider myself to be a good writer. My professional and academic background is pretty much well-rooted in computer science. My major is in computer science. I'm currently employed at DTE Energy as a software engineer student co-op, and I will be presenting the introduction part of this presentation. Group 4, we have 4 members. We have Aaron Cruz, Chad Gabin, Mordecai Brownfin, and Yazan Al-Arif. After conducting research on net metering, we are confident that we can give an accurate presentation on the subject. So basically, let me start off with giving a brief introduction about net metering. So the Michigan Public Service Commission allows consumers to install an alternative energy apparatus for energy production. So usually that means solar panels, but it also includes wind turbines and other methods of producing alternative energy. So the consumer can either augment their energy usage, so that means like let's say they would use 80% of their energy will be derived from alternative energy, and then the remainder would be derived from the utility company, from the electrical grid. So let's say a consumer gets 100% of their energy from an alternative energy apparatus, whether that be solar panels or wind turbine, whatever it is. All the excess energy is recycled back into the grid using a bidirectional meter. At DTE, we call these advanced meter infrastructure meters, AMI meters. It's basically they count electricity going in and going out. So net metering allows for customers to receive a credit at the full retail rate for excess energy they produce. So electricity is measured in kilowatt hours. So for every kilowatt hour that a customer pumps back into the grid, they are compensated about 13 cents, which is what DTE charges for the retail rate per kilowatt of electricity. So on April 18th of this year, the Michigan Public Service Commission, which is the regulatory body that regulates the services that DTE provides in terms of gas and electric service, so they said that net metering is over and they're introducing something called distributed generation. So distributed generation is the same idea as net metering, but instead of being compensated the full retail rate for excess energy put into the grid, customers will only be compensated the wholesale rate. So this means that the retail rate is what DTE charges customers for a kilowatt hour of electricity, which is about 13 cents. And the wholesale rate is several times smaller than that. That's what DTE pays to produce this energy. So the proposal established by the Michigan Public Service Commission allows for utility companies such as DTE and consumers to create their own system for net metering or distributed generation. So our presentation and and going forward, our report will introduce a plan for DTE to introduce a plan for net metering that is modeled after the old system. So in our final project, we will compose a report which will show why net metering is so important for DTE, for its customers, and ultimately green energy.
So in our group, we have Aaron Cruz, Chad Gavin, Mordecai Bronfin, and myself, Yazin Alarev. So my role for our team is the writing role. So basically the writing role requires the composition of documents our team generates from our primary research. So the primary responsibilities are to compose Word documents, compose the PowerPoints, and any supporting documents needed to support our research efforts. So some secondary responsibilities include assisting in procuring information to support research efforts, assisting in creating the visual content for the team's presentation, and general assistance in producing written and media content for the team's presentation. So some of my credentials, currently I'm pursuing a STEM degree, specifically a Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Engineering. I currently work a consumer sales job for a major telecom company. I'm proficient in the suite of Microsoft Office tools, so including but not limited to Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Outlook. In addition to that, I am proficient in Apple's suite of productivity tools. So for my part of the project, I'll be discussing section 1. So how does net metering actually work? So in this slide, I'll give an example on how net metering works in essence. So net metering is pretty simple. It works by calculating the energy added back to the grid. Then the utility company looks at the energy used and the energy captured and credits the property owner for the energy that they actually gave back to the utility company. So the credit's calculated by identifying the solar energy that was added back to the grid during the day versus peak energy consumption times, i.e. at night, when there is no sunlight and solar energy really doesn't work. For example, let's say a home captures 5 kilowatt hours of solar energy. Later on that night, the home consumes 6 kilowatt hours of energy. The utility company will only bill for the net usage, so in this case, 1 kilowatt hour. So why is this good? Net metering allows property owners to be in direct control of their energy consumption. Net metering advocates clean and efficient energy use by passing on value to consumers. We live in a value-driven society, and anything that can really add value should be of importance to us. The solar energy captured primarily powers the property during the day. Approximately 30% of the solar energy acquisition throughout the day is put back into the grid. So an outlook on net metering. So net metering implementation varies widely around the nation. Certain states have regulatory involvement where net metering is required. Some states have it on a voluntary basis. There isn't really a set agenda for net metering. Like I said, certain states require net metering, whereas some state utility companies offer it as a service, but there is no definite requirement. So net metering in Michigan was growing at a healthy rate. However, the state is pushing for reducing the credit offered to consumers for selling back the energy. This could adversely affect the net metering program in Michigan due to the lower cost and lower credits that consumers and property owners would get.
Hello, Professor and fellow classmates. My name is Aaron Cruz. I'm currently a senior at Wayne State University, and I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering. I'm going to be talking about our main objectives for our group project, and I'm also going to be talking about the importance of net metering moving forward with DTE. I'm currently an intern at Continental Automotive, where I have participated in research, similar research to this, about new technology, government regulation, and its impact on the current automotive industry. So the first topic I'd like to talk about is the change in policy. In December 2016, net metering went into place, and this was to be effective until, as of recently, April 2018. Now, under the new regulation that was recently passed by the Michigan Public Service Commission, they will use what's called a voided cost tariff, and this is based on how much the utilities would pay to build the same amount of generation themselves. So this was a result of a study done by the Michigan Public Service Commission, which included professional opinions in the industry to form a report on the billing mechanism. Now, what the utilities must do now is to submit their distribution inflow-outflow tariff, and this is due by June 1st. So the impact of the new regulations and laws, basically, if the rates become lower than they are now, there could be less of an incentive in joining the program. This could basically cause the general public and people participating in the program to rely on utilities to build infrastructure more so than businesses and other consumers like homeowners. And then obviously this could rely on coal burning for much longer as opposed to green alternative energies. So to evaluate the current legislation in regard to future development, consumers have more of an incentive than big utilities because they can basically wipe their monthly or bi-yearly, whatever the payment is, almost to nothing, and actually earn a credit by installing solar panels and these other alternative energy sources. So if this is left to the big utility companies, this would obviously prolong development. So the impact of development and job creation, obviously with lower incentive, less people will be participating in green energy infrastructure. This will obviously create less work for contractors and their employees, etc. The next topic I'd like to talk about why it's so important for net metering to move forward with DTE. Obviously, there's an incentive with net metering for business and homeowners to participate in green energy options. There's less of an incentive, less people are going to invest in this technology. And this is a shame since the technology is already readily available. Another point is that it is easier for consumers to invest into this new technology as it is a utility company. The reason it's easier for consumers is because they can hire a contractor and workers to install this stuff. As for the big utility company, they have to invest in new personnel and new training and basically change their whole their workflow as of right now. So another point is that it promotes a carbon-free, sustainable future. So this obviously encourages a healthier environment, and it helps with problems like global warming. Green energy is going to be healthier and safer, and with the new job creation, it could create more money and a healthier economy. Currently, right now, it's estimated that there's over 250,000 workers currently working in solar energy and wind energy because of the net metering program. Obviously, if prices go down, this could change the amount of current employment and possibly future employment as well. On the Labor Bureau of Statistics website, for projected job growth right now, there's over 104% change in employment for just solar installation alone. That basically concludes our objectives and also the importance of moving forward with net metering.
Hello everyone, my name is Chad Gabon, and I have assumed the responsibility of the video and presentation editor. Essentially what I'll be doing is consolidating the audio and video from everyone's presentations, making any adjustments to the video or sound, cutting them together, and submitting them online. I am proficient using Adobe Premiere Pro to edit, so I have done this before and it shouldn't be a problem. I'm currently employed at A123 Systems as an engineering support intern, and I will be going over the conclusion of our presentation. As each member had mentioned their role for the group, Mordecai will be the text editor. He's basically just going to revise the documents, making sure format, spelling errors, and the proper content is there. Aaron will be conducting most of the research and putting together the important topics that relate to our presentations. I will be cutting up the video, as just mentioned, and Yazan will be doing the bulk of the writing. Moving to our project topic, we'll be covering net metering, which is described as a way consumers can provide energy back into the grid for companies like DTE, and this is usually done with clean energy such as solar panels and wind power. The credit was equal to the cost of the energy consumed, so if you paid 13 cents per kilowatt from DTE, if you put 1 kilowatt into the grid, they credited you or paid you essentially 13 cents. Net metering has recently been removed, and this is what the bulk of our presentations and projects are going to be centered around. So what are the effects of the removal of net metering? What this is going to cause is a lower incentive to go out, invest in clean energy, and provide it for the general public. Since less people are going to be encouraged to do this, DTE is going to have to produce more energy on its own, which is going to be worse on the environment overall. This is also going to raise energy prices since people aren't essentially helping DTE produce energy. And then there will obviously be less jobs in the alternative energy systems. Does this mean that consumers won't receive any credit for producing clean energy? And the answer to that is no. Consumers will still receive credit. However, it will be a fraction of what it was. So say instead of 13 cents a kilowatt, you might get half a penny for a kilowatt or something like that. It's important, and this is what the bulk of our research project will be about, and our proposal, is that it's important that DTE tries to model its new legislation around the old policies of net metering. And it's important for all the reasons I listed above. And of course, here listed are just some of our sources used throughout the presentation. And if anyone has questions, concerns, or criticism at all, you can reach out to me. We're determined and would be excited to hear feedback on our idea. And any other help we can get will only make our proposal stronger and hopefully fulfill the goal of this project. Thank you guys for listening. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.